Okay, now we're going to officially start this meeting. this, for, this is a business meeting for Utah Association of Music Therapists. I appreciate everybody
Alrighty.
coming. Just a quick reminder, if you want to keep your self muted unless you're maybe raise your hand if you want to be addressed so that we can keep this orderly and there's one person talking at once. So, okay, hopefully everybody got this QR code. We're going to go on to the next slide. We're going to start out with reports of officers, and I'll report first. So we're first going to, I'm just reporting about the new Slack server. So this has been this was adopted at our spring conference, and it's been a great way to stay informed and keep everybody in the loop of new events, current, continuing education. There's things been about this conference on there. But I've loved to see the new job postings and referrals that have been on there. And I've personally felt more connected to more members, and I feel like it's been a fun way to get involved. And I've loved even the memes that people sent, and would encourage you to continue to use that. If you have any questions about how to use it, or if you're not on a certain channel, then please reach out to a board member and we will help you get connected. So I think that's all for that. We've had two events that we wanted to just kind of recap. We had it's called a UAMT. We've had a booth at Utah Symphony Concert where they featured lots of different people in the halls where people can connect, and there was a booth for UAMT board members, and we just were able to share different mindfulness techniques and information about music therapy and just make some good connections there. Also in May, Emily Polichetti and Emily Salisbury presented a case for reimbursement of using music therapy services through selective Medicaid waiver programs. And there will be more information presented in a little bit about that. There was one that we did not get to that we canceled just because we intended to go, but we weren't able to get anybody to be able to attend. So hopefully in the future we'll be able to attend this Developmental Disability Council conference. The board previously, at the last meeting, we talked about having being able to have more events like this being represented as a UAMT board. And
It's like
also,
not doing anything.
we wanted to, when we have events that are upcoming, we like to sponsor you to attend the advocacy. So you would actually, if someone was interested in representing music therapy at a conference and our organization, we would pay you through our funding, and be able to pay you to attend that and represent Utah Associated Music Therapists. So updated. And if there's someone who would like to mute their screen, that would be great. Okay, I just did it. All right. Yeah, and if you have questions about that, please reach out to one of the board members. But we're excited about being able to advocate for music therapy and hopefully open more doors to jobs and different possibilities for us.
Can I add just a comment on that?
Sure.
Is that okay if I
Yeah.
okay. Just to clarify the purpose of this as UAMT, to send different people in if they have a certain connection with a group or an organization. The perk for you would be getting that that face-to-face time. But we also ask that any referrals that you are gathering come back to the membership. And that is the perk of that is what we're trying to provide to UAMT in creating these events is that the person who's going gets paid, gets the face-to-face time, and also is gathering referrals for the rest of the members. You might get those referrals. You can apply or you can connect with those people and you kind of have an advantage, since you had the face-to-face time, but those referrals will come back to the members. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Emily. Okay, we're next going to have um, nominations for our um, president and treasurer starting. This would start at January 2025. And the president and the treasurer are for 2-year terms. Um, so every year we're always voting for something. So last year we voted in a new vice president and a new secretary. This year we'll be nominating for president and treasurer. So we are opening up nominations for these two positions. And I guess if you would like to nominate somebody, I wonder if we could put it in the chat. And then it will still be open for another couple weeks. And then then we'll do a vote on it. So, yeah, if you want to put any nominations, you can also put a nomination for yourself. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be somebody else, and you can vote or you can nominate through email too. So I love that we're already getting some nominations. Good job. Just a quick for the president. Um, it is a it's I have a lot of support from our vice president. You're not doing everything, so it's not like you're going to be doing everything on the board. There's tons of support from everybody, and it's been a great opportunity to serve and to learn about how this organization runs. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And our treasurer, I wonder if Mackenzie, you could just say a little bit about your position and what you do.
Absolutely. So as the treasurer, you oversee all of the funds for UAMT and you kind of act as a consultant for, the board has brought different ideas for some of the funding that we have. So kind of figuring out budgeting and all of those kind of things. So treasurers, I spend quite a bit of time involved in like conferences, but really overall, a lot of it's about just like maintenance and making sure that everything is um, recorded and in line. So yes, I would say also not a super huge commitment, but really an awesome way to get involved. It's been a really great experience, and yeah, it's been really great to connect with people here.
Cool. And I think what we'll do is send out an email with the actual responsibilities of both the president and the treasurer so you can see exactly what those responsibilities are. There is a monthly meeting that you're requested at, a monthly board meeting. And also, as far as communicating with your board members. We use Slack, which has been really helpful. We do a lot of communication that way, even in between board meetings, but it has been a fun opportunity. So, okay, thank you for the nominations that have come in, and we look forward to seeing more nominations. All right, we're going to turn the time over to our vice president, who will do a report of the vice president.
All right. I just wanted to follow up on some of the items that were voted on during our last meeting, just to give you updates on those. So number one item that was voted on and passed was that we should pick up again the initiative that was put into place some time ago to do meetup groups in between conferences. And here we said monthly, but if we're not feeling that ambitious, like, once in a while, whenever it works out. So that there hasn't been a lot of progress on that. And the reason why is that there's been a lot on our plates already. And we've been hoping for some additional support. Anyone who wants to kind of take charge of a local group in their area and to send out memos to, hey, anyone who's in the Salt Lake South area or anyone who's up in Logan, we'd love to meet. When can we meet? Let's just get together and we'll learn from each other. Maybe we share each other technique with each other, whatever we want to do. So we're looking for some people who might be interested in taking charge of something like that. That's something you're interested in. We would love to hear from you. So that is number one. Number two is that we voted on whether UAMT should seek sponsorships and donations to diversify our revenue to create more opportunities for these advocacy events that we're hoping to do. And the downer with that is that I've done a little bit more research on what that process would look like. And I was under the impression that the contributions that people gave, the donations that they gave to our organization would be tax deductible since we're a nonprofit. But the problem is that we are not a 501c3. And so it's not considered to be a charitable contribution. It's not tax deductible for these organizations if they were to provide us with some sponsorships or donations. So that's the kind of downer that presents, it doesn't mean that it's impossible, but it presents more of an issue as far as their motivation to contribute to our organization, since those are not going to be on their tax return. So that is we've kind of halted on that for a minute. We'd like to find some other ways to possibly bring in some revenue to continue our advocacy work. And pay for booths at different conferences to send people in for more publicity. So that's about as much progress as we've gotten so far. And then one announcement is that we kind of have our date for our spring 2025 conference. It will be at Utah State University. We're really excited for that. It hasn't been there in a while. And our two dates just to put on your calendar, it'll be one or the other, March 22nd or March 29th. So there's that. We're excited to be up at USU. And I think that's all for me. Mackenzie.
Awesome. So again, my name is Mackenzie Mondek. I'm the current treasurer for UAMT. My report today, I wanted to bring you all some numbers. So up there's our current funds, 13,828.71 cents. Taking a snapshot of this year specifically, you can see our total income. That income comes from conference dues, it comes from membership dues, and then it also comes from the new asynchronous courses that we've been able to offer too. And then we've got our total expenditures for 2024, and this number that I have up there includes the anticipated remaining expenses, which would include, our fall workshop series and our grants. So yeah, just like Emily said, we're looking at, finding some ways to diversify potentially in the future. And we're still just really trying to keep our conference rates affordable to everyone and making sure that everything can be accessible, especially to our students. So let me know, anyone have any questions, any thoughts, feel free to let me know. Yes, and to give our grant winner announcement. Very exciting time. So we did not have any applicants for the professional grant or the new professional grant. So you'll kind of see we were able to provide 3 grants to our students. So yeah, let's reveal the names. First up, we've got Ben Kaufman. Then we've got Gabriel Perez and Bailey Knoll. Yes, so because we did not have applicants for the other grants, we decided to give grants to all three of our applicants for the student ones. So thank you so much, interns, for applying, and I'll be reaching out to you all to get some info.
And just for the secretary report, we have a current membership of 49, which is pretty exciting. We have 37 professional members and 12 student members currently. The advantages to being a UAMT member is a biannual newsletter, access to Slack server, job opportunities, referrals featured on the UAMT website, discounted conferences, and discounted asynchronous courses, and access to grants.
Cool. For my section, I just really wanted to get an idea for how many people received the newsletter and took a look at it. So, Emily, if we could pull up that poll really quick. Um, so everyone, let me go back to the code to get
Okay.
into that real quick. If you haven't already, then we'll be using this code right now. You can scan it, or you can go to that website link right there and then enter the code below. I'll give you a couple minutes to get set there in case you didn't get a chance at the beginning, and then we will jump back over. Awesome, thanks.
Hey, you guys, you had a little picture of that newsletter, all 3 pages. Can you just put that up on the screen one more time, please?
Yes, it'll be coming back up in just a second.
Okay.
After the poll, then you'll see it in just a minute.
Oh, I was hoping you could just do it before the poll.
Oh, before the poll?
Yeah.
I don't know if
think
I
I
can
saw
go
it,
back.
but I can't remember. So,
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can go out of this and not mess it up. So
Are you just trying to remember what was in there?
yeah, I am.
Yeah, so I had an interview with Kelsey Smalley, just a review of our last spring conference and pictures from that. We had the government relations update. Oh boy. And then I had
Okay.
the whole thing on.
That's enough for me. Okay. I've
Okay.
got that. Thank you. I don't know if
Yay.
anybody else needs it, but I don't. Thank you.
And Dorothy asked when it was sent. I believe that was no, I sent it in June. I think it was June. Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, I know not everyone is in this business meeting, but just kind of gives me a good idea. So, um, really want to continue to use these newsletters to offer resources and really solid community building. To me, it's kind of like, what's the point of doing it unless it's really beneficial for everyone and helping us all connect? So looking to the future, I'm continuing to do more interviews, and we're going to be making those available in audio format, so they're more accessible to all of our members. And I know that everyone is busy and on the go, so hopefully that is something that will be helpful just to be able to listen to it while you're driving or, um, just going about your day. So that will be coming soon, and then looking more to the future, hoping that we can have our own potential UAMT podcast, which I think would be really cool. Just focusing on and featuring the therapists that we have in the state. So, yeah. Okay, I'm not sure is Emily, I think I'm doing this. Okay. Marty just said she's not able to. We're just gonna. Marty is going to be stepping down from this chair position at the end of this year. We are looking for someone to replace her. So if you are interested in or know somebody that would be a really great continuing education chair, please let us know. We are really needing somebody to volunteer to do this position. You work hand in hand with the vice president to work with making sure we get CMTE credits for all of our conferences and workshops. It's not a voted position, so anybody interested can fill this role. We've got asynchronous courses, and basically what that means is courses that we have already done, our workshops, we have them available online. So if you missed a conference, you can purchase them, and then you have up to a year. Let's see, I think that's the recommended has continue to use the year allowed. I'm not sure exactly. I think you have a year in order to complete it, I think is what that means. It's just a great way to be able to still take advantage of these great classes and workshops and conferences that are available. And we want to thank Marty. He is instrumental in starting that asynchronous courses. So,
I'd like to give a correction with that, if that's okay.
Please, Emily.
Okay. And I apologize for the sound in my car. So basically, from the asynchronous courses that we did put, you have to pay a fee to maintain courses in with CBMT, and we have only had 3 purchases. So I think it's amazing, and I really pushed for this and really encouraged it, but we haven't had a lot of action within it. So what Marty put here is a recommendation to not continue renewing those CMTEs, but rather to continue from the time that we have a conference, we can keep them up and available for 1 year. And so as we continue forward, the conferences we have will continue being available for a year asynchronously.
Because it does cost us extra money to keep that going. That's right. Thank you for the correction on that. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Emily, one of the Emilys is going to report on it.
Wonderful.
Great.
And we're back. I'm about to arrive home, so in case I get distracted during this.
Perfect.
So regarding our government relations, we have two major things we're working on as a field, and one is trying to get Medicaid reimbursements to be a reality, and the other one is continuing to pursue licensure as music therapists. So we actually had a pretty busy year. Regarding Medicaid, as mentioned before, Emily and I were able to present to the Medical Care Advisory Council in May, and their role is to advise the governor's office for funding. So even from the suggestions that were put in place, it still takes time to get through to the legislature for them to approve any budget aspect that is approved, if that makes sense. So we will be waiting to see, but it went well for our licensure effort. We are trying to connect with other creative arts therapists in Utah, Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho, because my vision includes us just having a multi-state compact for our license. So that's becoming more of a trend within different disciplines, and is desirable to our legislators, as that provides them an opportunity to have one sweeping bill. So it has on here some different representatives that we're talking with. But the other piece that's not in here is last legislative session, and I think we talked about it at the last business meeting, but man, we were fighting with the occupational and professional licensing review. So they did not recommend us for a license. So we have a little bit of an uphill battle within that, but that was all in the context of behavioral health. Always open to questions and concerns.
Thank you, Emily. Are you ready to go to the next slide? Yeah. Okay. Um, is our UAU MTSA here?
Yeah, that's me.
Yay!
I'm Mallory. I'm the president-elect. I'm just filling in for our president Madison today. Um, we don't have too many things to report on. First thing, we are now an official Utah State University club, which is awesome. So we're able to have a little more funding, and we just have more opportunities to like advocate for our program, and get it out there. So that's been awesome. Our scholarships, this is something we've kind of implemented within the last year, but we're really trying to kind of put in the forefront of our work. So we're hoping to fundraise for and offer student scholarships. So we've talked a little bit about that, but we're getting more into that. And then as far as all the licensure efforts, as far as I know, there was kind of an opening for us to contribute to that. So we have got the word out to our program. We're kind of waiting for some more responses. But it sounds like we're going to have people that want to contribute. So whether that's like directly or having a committee within ourselves and then a representative, we've kind of talked about, you know, both and we're flexible. So, but I think that's it. Just a few little things.
Thank you, Mallory. Okay, we're going to turn the time over to Emily Salisbury about membership voting.
All right, so I hope that you all got in your inbox about 2 weeks ago the bylaw amendments that we're proposing today. I meant to send that out again today and I didn't do that. So I hope that you dug back through your inbox and fished it out, and that you've had a chance to review those. These are very minor changes, more grammatical corrections and consistency corrections. So, but we will just, without any further ado, let's just hit those and see. I will read what we have here. Here's that code one more time if you need it. And going once, going twice, is gone. Oh, look, I still have it. Oh, look at that. Okay, so oh yes, because I wanted to review the regulations that UAMT has as far as voting. Number one is that you must be a a USU professional member to vote. So if you're not, all of our students, just hang on to your horses there for a minute. Or if you're not officially a professional member, then just hold on. Also, a quorum has to be present. According to our Constitution, a quorum consists of a minimum of 25% of the total current professional membership plus at least 2 elected officers. Ashlyn, do you have a count on if that is being met right now with who's in attendance?
We've got 21 attending. I have not looked at who's a member or not yet.
If you are a member, could you just give us a little thumbs up, wave, high five?
Yeah, if you could do that digitally, that would be even better. Thank you.
I forgot how to do it.
Sorry, what did you guys ask us to do? My headphones fell out of my ears just as you were saying what to do.
Oh, just give us a little hands up, either digitally or in person, to count how many professional members we have.
Can you tell us how to do that? Because I am struggling.
Just put your hand up. I was struggling too.
Also, if you go to the React section that has a cute little heart, then it has an option to raise your hand.
All right, Ashlyn, do you have a count on us?
It's more than half. We've got I think I counted 12,
Okay, we
but I
should
will
be totally
double
fine then.
check with names and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, we should be good. The 2/3 vote is what we're shooting for. So anything be above a 2/3 of the quorum present voting yes means that it passes. Any questions? Well, good. All right. Okay, here's our first motion is to accept the bylaws as they currently stand, as I sent them out in an email because there have been revisions. It's been a little messy. We want to make sure that we're all on page with this is what we're starting with, and we are moving forward from here. And it should, are we getting, mine's not working.
Neither's mine.
It was having me answer the previous question about the newsletter.
There we go. Now it's working. It's working.
Can you clarify this? That means that we're accepting accepting it how the new changes, or accepting it
No,
how it
just
was?
as it currently is, because there have been some revisions. It's been a little bit messy, and we want basically a baseline where we're starting like this is what we have. That was sent out in an email to about 2 weeks ago, just to review what is it currently. And if there are any concerns, I think we're looking good so far. But if there are any concerns about, if you've noticed, there was something in there that hasn't been voted on. I wouldn't know. I haven't been around that long, but for some of our professionals who have been around for a little bit longer, you might have noticed, oh, that was in there and it wasn't in there before. But I see. I think we're okay here. Give you just a second longer to get your vote in if you haven't. All right, I think we'll call that a pass. I thought we were waiting on about 13. So if we didn't quite get you, then I'm sorry.
I'm wondering, is there any way to put the link in the chat? We have a little comment about
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yep, I can do that. Um, let's see if I can do that. Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to stop sharing for a second. Yeah, and if you're raising your hand, then we will assume that you are voting yes as well, if you can't quite figure out the thing. Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to move on here. Let's take a look at this. We've got 10 votes yes, plus 1. So that passes 11-0. And that passes. Okay. Okay, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. Okay, so just trying to figure it out. Okay. Okay, here's our first proposal, which is the grammatical corrections. Anything in yellow highlight is what is proposed to change. Number 1 is that the name of the organization was incorrect. So I hope you'll agree that that is a good change. Grammatical corrections for proposed grammatical correction number 2. Oh, and then I need to clarify that we did have an edit by UAMT members to propose an alternate wording in this passage right here to read participation in UAMT activities as opposed to activities of UAMT. So that's what we are proposing to put into the bylaws, is this after it was reviewed by the members. All right, we got 14 plus 1 hand raised. That's 15 to 0, and it passes. Thank you. All right, on to our next one. Proposal number 2 is consistency correction. This is just adding the socioeconomic status into the second, the article number 2, section 3, for consistency between the two different paragraphs. And it looks like we're passing 12 plus 1 hand raised. 13, that's 14, 14 to 0, it passes. Thank you. And on to number 3, proposal number 3 is procedural clarifications. So there's a couple different items within this proposal. Number 1, the clarification that registration fees for conferences will be determined by the current officers of UAMT. Instead of saying there may be fees. So we're saying, yes, there will be fees and they will be determined by UAMT officers. And then we are also omitting mail options for ballots, since we don't ever do that anymore. We are also proposing to add that members may also self-nominate if they choose to serve as an elected officer. Again, taking out the mail in Article 7, Section 2. All right, we got 14 plus 2 hands raised, 16 to 0, and that passes. All right, I think we are good there. Thank you for your participation there. And we will get those changed, then we'll make sure to send the new bylaw, the new copy of the bylaws out to all of the members. Okay, so with the time that we have left, we wanted to just have an open discussion about some further considerations that we as a board have been talking about back and forth. We don't want to vote on anything today. We want this to be the start of a discussion about what does the board look like in UAMT, what might we change to make the workload, the work-life volunteer balance of the board members more compatible, more realistic. I can speak for myself. I feel that sometimes, I know I'm one that takes a little a little bit and runs with a lot, and I'm just a passionate person, so I'm like, okay, let's go and let's do all these things, right? And I think I drive Heather nuts, but it's okay. But also I see that it gets difficult, and those of you who have served on the board, it gets difficult to balance the volunteer status of the board with everything else that we have going on in our lives. So I wanted to start a discussion about different types of boards within the nonprofit realm, and what they look like, what they function like. And there are multiple types. But 2 of those would be a working board versus a governance board. So a working board is doing all the work, and in addition to their governance responsibilities, they're doing the day-to-day, they're sending out the emails, they're doing the events, they're doing everything. And that is all on volunteer basis. This is very typical in smaller nonprofit foundations where there are no funds to hire a full-time staff, right? This is very much where we're at, right? We don't have funds to hire somebody to do the day-to-day operations of this organization. A governance board is basically, oh, excuse me. A governance board is only expected to show up to meetings and to vote on things, basically. And so they provide the oversight to the nonprofit organization rather than the day-to-day operations and making sure that everything is running smoothly within the organization. So those are the two major types of boards. I shouldn't say two major types, but those are two major types of boards and how they function and how they function differently. So my question, fueled by the concern that our board members are burning out and there's a lot to do and we're hoping to do more. I feel like there's a lot that could be done that I would really love to see done. But in order to do those things, that's going to take a lot of work. And either it means having a huge board where we divvy out lots of different responsibilities to lots of different people, or it means working towards having an executive director that is paid through the organization and handles those day-to-day data operations. That is a really weird thing in this organization because that's not anything that we've ever done or really explored as far as I'm aware. But like I said, this is not a direction that we're like, this is what we got to do, but we wanted to take it back to everyone here and just kind of get your immediate gut reaction on what are your concerns? What are your thoughts? Any insights that you have?
This is Karen talking. And I mean, I thought about this for a while because I served as president as well as some of the other things. However, in schools, there's typically a president of the PTA and a president-elect. And I feel like that could be a good model for us to consider because I know when I was elected president, it was like I think I knew sometime in November, and I really didn't know I didn't know what I was doing. I think the whole first year you're trying to figure out what you're doing, and it seems like Heather, can you agree with that? Do you agree? And other people have served in these positions. It's just like I just think either having a president-elect or something along those lines, that structure might really, really be helpful. And maybe if we do that, then maybe there's a vice president-elect as well, because the vice president is the one who is usually responsible for all of the conference things and all of those things. Or maybe maybe the board serves still for 2 years, but when maybe, I don't know, just think that it would be really helpful to have a little bit more mentoring to keep the consistency between what we've started in an organization to keep it going, because that's usually that's my opinion anyway. That's the president starts something and sees a vision of it, and then it gets turned over, and it might be a very different vision, and that's not a bad thing. I just think that it would help us to be a little bit more on the same page, so that when we get a new president or a new vice president, that we kind of have an idea how things are going to go. And anyway, that's all. That's my suggestion. Thanks, Emily.
JC, I see you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm curious, like as far as like workload and concentration of capacity, like how often is the board creating quarterly strategic priorities so that you don't burn out? Because if you're very clear on exactly what our purpose is and exactly what you're doing and when, then it's a lot easier to sustain that energy as opposed to trying to do everything all at once. So what does that look like? Like, what is the purpose of UAMT? Like, there's been some things in like the last 10 years that I've been like, wait, is this our purpose? Like, why are we here? Like, what is our real aim? And like, in my mind, conferences are huge, like uniting our profession in the state of Utah, and government relations is big, advocating for our profession in the state of Utah. And then beyond that, I'm not sure, but, and then like, yeah, I don't know, there could be other things, but if those are the priorities and those are like your big rocks and you're getting those done, then other things kind of don't, are like less of a priority, and it's a lot easier to really manage. So I'm just curious what that process looks like for now, as far as like having really clear purpose and priorities.
I think you hit it very well, JC, is that we are, looking at our mission is the most important thing in deciding where our priorities are. And I totally agree. I think we need to make sure we're not overstepping our of what our purpose really is. So I think that's a really important thing to make sure we always keep in mind of what our purpose is in keeping our I think the educational opportunities are key, and I think that's one of our biggest missions in according to our constitution, and advocating for music therapy.
Emily, go ahead.
Hi. So the team I work with hears a lot of my like, well, what's our strategic plan? What are our intentions and goals? I think the one thing that kind of raised a flag for me is the idea of like we've got educational conferences and we've got government relations, and just stick to those. And I think that we miss some of the parts about building industry and building our culture and that community piece. So when I see what the current board's been really working on of trying to tighten down what's been less clear over the years as far as those bylaws, as getting that structure, I think that's part of it. Whether it's the small community connections and those different things, or connecting with students, providing opportunities. I mean, we could have the industry of lots of small businesses grabbing different parts of what supports the Utah music therapy community. Um, or we can grow as UAMT to be that service that is supporting people at various SES resources at various stages in their career and different things like that. And so um, I think building industry is a huge part of where I hope we keep our charge as UAMT, and that's across the spectrum of our clinicians.
Thank you all who have voiced your input and your thoughts. Anybody else? I think this is a really valuable conversation, and there have been a lot of words of wisdom just voiced within this group right now. And I think it does come back to defining what is our purpose and all being on the same page as far as where the focus is. And that's where if it is, Marty, I see you. If it is uh, more geared towards, not more, but if we do want to put efforts towards creating jobs, towards supporting our members in that, we're creating an industry of music therapy here, then that's a lot of work. So that's just something to consider. Marty, go ahead.
Hi, sorry I couldn't be here for my report, but I'll just chime in here on this as well. Is I think that they're speaking about the burnout. I don't know if this is something you'll bring up. Is I think having term limits and people to mentor the incoming position holders would be helpful. I'm finding myself in a position where no one wants to take over continuing education, and I don't want to see it land on another board member because it's a lot of work, and it's something that I want to be able to pass on, because we've built something with asynchronous courses that I think is really valuable. So, but I guess where I'm getting at is that I know that a lot of people have already served, and maybe we're just coming up on our round again, where it's like time to call on our membership to, serve again. And in a smaller organization, we only have 37 members. I imagine the opportunity will come up maybe sooner than people realize. So I think having, because I've been doing my position for, I think, 5 years, and it's just time for somebody else to have a go at it. So I think the idea of having president-elect or term limits for all of the positions could be helpful, because I know I felt burnout, and it's taken me a while to admit that and to recognize that I need to step away so that I can have an opportunity to volunteer again in the future. So those are just, I think, continuing what Karen brought up, some additional thoughts of having a better plan for people to step in so that other people can step out, and it's not over a long period of time.
Yes, thanks for bringing that up, Marty. We'll be finishing up here in just a couple minutes, so we can jump over to Dr. Beer's presentation for anyone who's joining us. But that's another thing that I wanted to just bring to the table. It's something that we've talked about as a board, and a process that hasn't been defined very well in our bylaws, or in practice, as far as what does it look like, what's to be an appointed officer, how long is that going to go on for? There's no cap in our bylaws as far as like, this is your term. It's just kind of a, who wants to do this, how long, I don't know, and that's where it leads to burnout, and it really should, in my opinion, be a set term. So yeah, any last thoughts on any of that before we close this meeting? Again, we won't make any final decisions here, but it's just an open conversation.
Just one more thought on this. A lot of organizations, in addition to a president-elect, also have a past president, or like the president who did it, like they're still contributing for the 2 years post active participation. So, which dauntingly makes it like a 6-year thing. So maybe that's a bad idea, but you're less involved for the first 2 years and last 2 years.
What if it could be more like a 4-year thing? So a president-elect would not come in on the first year the president is elected. They would come in on the second year, and then they would continue to work with the president that year, and the president would continue to work one more year. So they would be 3-year terms instead of 2-year terms. But there would be the opportunity for a current president to mentor a future president for an entire year before they started their presidency, and then could be that current president could be in the background, almost acting in the role of like a consultant. I think it would help us to you like that. I think that would help us, guys. I think it would help us to have more consistency. And I think people would be like, well, I'm not going to serve on that. I don't know what to do with that. And instead of getting a job description, you actually have some mentoring and you have some help with things. I really think that really might strengthen our organization. So I don't know. I mean, we're having this discussion, but I mean, we're down to 2 months that Heather is serving. And so this is kind of, I mean, when do we decide to start this? So that's the question. I mean, at this point in time, would Heather be willing to stay on as a mentor for one more year as another president takes over? These are, I mean, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but this is kind of just what we're suggesting. So, but I don't think we should wait. Like, we should wait until like spring or something to decide these things. Now would be the time to really kind of have a little bit more discussion about this and decide and make a decision about it and vote. That's my opinion.
Okay. Thanks so much for everybody's. We're going to need to adjourn this meeting so that we can go to the next. I appreciate everybody's input, and we'll see you at the next meeting. There's a second link, so jump onto that, and thanks so much for your participation.
Heather, I have a really quick question here about the second link, and the question is, can we watch part of this presentation and then watch the rest of it in a little while? Like, and how soon will the recordings be available?
I can answer that if that's helpful. The recording should be available within a few days. We just need to upload it. I'm in the same position. I can only stay for part of it tonight. I'm going to watch the rest of it later. So we're just taking attendance. And if you're not able to stay the entire time, we're just going to ask that you follow up to let us know that you've completed the recording and completed the survey at the end.
Okay, that's great, Marty. Is attendance going to be taken in the beginning and at the end? How's that going to work?
Correct. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So if you show up for the beginning, it's assumed you're going to stay. But if you don't do the anything, then it's up to you to follow up with the.
I'll be following up with anyone that we see maybe couldn't stay the whole time to make sure everyone's going to get the recording access, and I'll make sure that you completed whatever you missed of the presentation.
That's just ideal. That's perfect. Thank you. Okay.
All right. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you in a minute.